Hello, I'm Gil Zilkha. Welcome to my channel. This video is taken from my larger video discussing the major symphonies, which is a follow-up to my previous video on the major symphonies. This one is covering the second grouping of symphonies. And if you enjoy this, I hope you'll take time to look at that larger video. Just know that you can click through it. It's divided into chapters to check out whichever symphony you're interested in. So I hope you enjoy it. Now we have two more. We have the fourth and the eighth. And these two works, they're not quite as popular as the others, maybe because they weren't as epic or unique in what they were trying to do. But they're both wonderful works. And in both cases, my top two choices come from complete cycles. And this is a case where I would say these two cycles would be my top choices in terms of consistency. And maybe these are good litmus tests, these two kind of middle ground symphonies between the earlier and the kind of grander, more epic ones. First is probably the most well-known Beethoven cycle of all, and that's Herbert von Karajan and the Berlin Philharmonic. This is the 60s cycle. The fourth and the eighth were both recorded in 1962. Of course, this cycle really caused a sensation when it was released. The sound quality is excellent. You get that the Berlin Philharmonic sound that was developed in the decades previous under Furtwängler, who of course was a Beethoven specialist. It was very deep sonorities, very powerful. And then you had Karajan, who was a very dynamic conductor and really wanted to showcase the Berlin Philharmonic in this repertoire. So this was sort of a marketing bonanza. And the fourth and the eighth really come out well. He knows just how to pace them in a way that brings the drama and the excitement, as well as those beautiful sonorities which you hear in the Berlin Philharmonic. So those are really, you can't miss with those interpretations. The other cycle that I want to mention is Karl Böhm and the Vienna Philharmonic. This really is probably my favorite cycle of all. There's just so many really top-notch recordings. I mentioned before the sixth is really good, the seventh, the ninth, and this fourth and this eighth are really top-notch as well. The sound, for one thing, is fantastic. The Vienna Philharmonic, there's that lushness and warmth. There's that feeling of power that Karl Böhm had. There's a real glow to these recordings. He did tend to be a little bit more stately somewhat in his tempo choices, like the finale of the eighth could maybe move a little bit more, but it's a very powerful performance, and you can't go wrong as well. Now, I do want to mention a couple of more single versions of both the fourth and the eighth, starting with the fourth, and this is a very famous interpretation, Bruno Walter and the Columbia Symphony. This is from 1958. Walter, a little bit like Beecham, was a little bit more of the even-numbered symphony kind of guy. Yeah, a little bit more on the gentle side. This is coupled with his wonderful Symphony No. 6, Pastoral. And he brings a lot of joy and exuberance to the symphony, a lot of that characteristic Walter energy. So this is definitely a highlight of his cycle. Now we also have, a little bit different, we have Otto Klemperer and the Philharmonia. This is the 1957 recording of the fourth. With Klemperer, it's that more of that heaviness, that sort of powerful gravitas that makes the music feel kind of like it's inevitably moving forward, but never pushed. And that feeling of power really gives something to this symphony. It was called. Schumann referred to the fourth as this Greek maiden in between the two Norse giants of the Eroica and the fifth. That's more maybe what you will hear in sort of a Bruno Walter interpretation. This gives it a little bit more oomph and power and majesty. So that's really great. Another one that does sort of the same is from Wilhelm Furtwängler. This was recorded in 1943, so it's a wartime recording with the Berlin Philharmonic. The sound is not great. It's got good presence though for a 1940s recording. And this, of course, if you know, this was the period when his interpretations tended to be at their most intense. And this is a fourth to listen to if you want to hear it sounding just given that sort of profound view of Beethoven. The slow movement is really done in this gorgeously extended way, very intense. And like, for example, the opening of the symphony, it's kind of got this, it's supposed to sound like that anyways, but particularly here you have this feeling of anticipation. So this is a really good interpretation. So that's the fourth. And for a couple of more versions now of the eighth, I'm going to start with one from 1959, and this is Igor Markevich and the Lamoureux Orchestra, sounding in pretty good stereo. And this is a vigorous, very assertive performance. The symphony opens up bum ba 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 bum ba 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 bum. So it really benefits from an approach like this. It almost sounds like a period performance, but it's not overly done. It's not overly going crazy fast. It's just got a lot of wonderful energy and transparency throughout. Now, for something a little different, we have from 1953. Paul van Kempen and the Berlin Philharmonic. This is in mono, but it's sounding pretty good mono, pretty full. And this is more the massive kind of powerful Beethoven approach. And that really works well as well as a different way of hearing it, you might say. And then finally, from the same year with the same orchestra, we have, again, Wilhelm Furtwängler. This is a live performance. And in this particular one, first of all, it's coupled with a really good seventh. And this is a Deutsche Grammophon release that you can find in the big Furtwängler Deutsche Grammophon edition, which I highly recommend. It's got a lot of great live performances, particularly. And here, what you hear from Furtwängler is a really affectionate reading. It's not overly aggressive. It's not overly powerful, but there's this warmth to it, a beauty to the way he phrases it, that really brings something out of this symphony. Of course, Furtwängler was always a very thoughtful Beethoven interpreter, so it's always worth sampling his Beethoven. The sound is one of the better sounding recordings he got for his live performances, so really a great way to hear his Beethoven. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I hope you'll also take time to click the like and subscribe buttons. And with that, I want to wish you all a great day and happy listening.